Hello, everyone. This is Miner Bob, and I am back with you for a new episode of Leviathan Warships. Today, I tackle the challenge scenario, the sinking of the Charybdia. My friend Commodore Feanor had tried it and said it was quite challenging. He and I tried the battle in two-player cooperative mode and just barely lost with an unmodified fleet. I looked around on the forums and found an interesting replay of the scenario by K-Sky, where he used 3 bully cruisers using only rear-firing weapons. I looked at the configuration for a bully cruiser and saw why that actually made sense. So I decided to use that as a starting point for my own attempt. Here it is. This scenario has you endure 11 waves of marauders consisting of destroyers, buzzers, and overlords before the Charybdia, an Atlas-class vessel, comes on the map from the east. You must sink the Charybdia in order to win the mission. I decided to use 3 bully cruisers like K-Sky, but I armored all of them. They moved slower, but were able to absorb the damage a little better. Rather than using only rear-firing weapons, I went with 2 forward-firing Barbossas, a heavy shield, and the remaining armament slots being used for Barbossas and Cowsers facing rearward. The starting position is cramped. Rather than taking the time, as I should have, to create a conga line of ships in the center lagoon, whereby each ship could cover the other ships in the fleet, I followed the pattern of K-Sky in moving around the West Island. This was not a mistake per se, but as you will see later, it draws out the combat. The basic design of this ship is to move past the enemy as quickly as possible, which is not very quickly at all given that these are armored cruisers, hitting them with their forward-firing guns on approach, and then hitting them even harder once you have cleared past them. While the enemy attempts to turn around and give chase, your Barbossas will cut them to ribbons. After watching the 2 cruisers that headed south for the first 13 turns, I realized that one cruiser following another was fairly optimal. Quite often, the cruisers would be able to engage the enemy with both sets of weapons, forward and rearward, simultaneously. That is when I started to change my strategy and form the cruiser conga line. It takes a few turns to sort out the intervals between the ships, but you can see the results by turn 18. I then realized that the problem I now face is that the enemy are coming in too quickly because I'm pressed up against the map boundaries on the western side of the map. At this point I realized that I need to get back to the center lagoon with my cruiser conga line. About turn 22, I realized that my rearmost cruiser has taken more of a beating by being in that position. So I switched positions with the middle cruiser to spread the damage out more evenly. Once I get to the center, however, that position no longer matters. I need to spread my interval out between the ships in order to ensure that my lines of fire do not cross one another. The last thing I want is to start taking damage due to friendly fire. By now you can start to see the effect of having both rearward and forward firing weapons. By starting to circle the ships, I'm able to get all of the weapons on the ships to engage the enemy. Around turn 42, I realize that I need to position my ships so that the rears face the center of the lagoon. By positioning them in the northeast, south, and the northwest channels, it will make the lagoon a kill zone. By the time the Charybdia enters the map, turn 47, I've already started to form up in that formation. Initially there are still too many enemy vessels to the south, but the crossfire quickly reduces the enemy fleet. Watch how quickly the two overlords that wandered into the center were sunk. With the enemy vanquished, save the traitorous Charybdia, my northern cruiser pulls farther north, luring the Charybdia away from the rest of the fleet, while they move in for the kill. Being hit from three sides, the Charybdia cannot raise shields against all the blows. I succeed in sinking the traitor in 54 turns on my first solo try of this mission. I learned a lot from this scenario. By watching how Case Sky approached it, I came to realize that the configurations of the ships were not what I had imagined. The Bully Cruiser is very much a ship that can fire heavily fore and aft if you want to design it that way. In fact, it can be configured to fire much stronger rearward than forward, given that it has more compartments facing to the rear. Well, I hoped you enjoyed this technical review. If you'd like to see more of this, leave a like. And as always, comments are welcome. This is Miner Bob, signing out.